nasty.
2007, Congress passed a bill called the College Cost Reduction and Access Act. The economy was in a downward spiral. Student loan debt was not necessarily a priority for people to take care of, but being that it's a federal debt, consequences include losing a driver's license, having it suspended, not being able to work in certain industries. You don't need to be constantly, whether it's social media or out and about, explaining what your next move is or how good you're doing right now. You know, stuff, work in silence, really. I mean, just keep it to yourself. Let your performance speak for itself.
Yo, we're back with episode number 4. So all of you have student loans, and a lot of you hear about companies that are calling you on the phone, sending you mailers, reaching out to you in emails, and they're messaging you about student loan forgiveness. Well, guess what? Today, you are going to find out what that means. We have my cousin, Matt Sidrak, who owns a student loan forgiveness company. He's going to break down all of the bad stigmas that they have against their companies. He's going to explain why that is, and he's going to talk about the laws that have changed over the years and why they benefit you if you have a lot of student loan debt and you need help getting that forgiven. They help you with government programs, and they really hold your hand throughout the entire process. If you're someone with student loan out there, chime on in, and you're going to really enjoy the information we're going to give you today. All right. So, hello everyone, and welcome to the Nasty Truth Podcast. Today we have one of my favorite people on the planet today. We have Matthew Sidrak, The Rock. This is my family member, my cousin, but also one of the best salesmen and one of the best business owners that I know. Matt has been involved in student debt relief services for pretty much the last decade, would you say, right?
Yep.
So he started off at a company called, what was it one more time?
Progress Advocates Group.
Progress Advocates Group. So typically in this industry, or in many industries, right, your sales when you're dealing with leads, it's good to be 20% in closing rates. When Matt worked for Progress Advocates Group, he was closing 87% of his leads. This is basically unheard of. This is going to be something we're going to talk about today. You know, how did you have such a high closing ratio? Because these are essentially cold calls and leads that are not, you know, hot and warm like most industries. This is something he really had to work and get really good at. Then he went into opening his own business because he got so good at what he did. And what was the name of that company?
That was Student Relief Department.
Student Relief Department was the first company he owned. And then he went through some circumstances where now today he owns his company called EDAPT USA, where he has how many employees?
Now I'm currently with 20 sales reps and 10 in customer service and processing. And then we have your HR and accounting. There's a couple people in there as well. So probably 30 total.
Got it. So he's running a company with 30 employees. Most people can't even handle one employee. This guy's running a successful organization, and he's been doing it for several years now, and he's crushing it. And right now, in this COVID climate especially, I know a lot of people hear the terms like student debt relief, you know, debt relief companies, and they just really don't know what the hell that means. And they are almost scared of it because I feel like the government almost pushes them away from this because the government wants them to pay their debts. They want them to pay, you know, all their student loans. And so today what we're going to do is we're going to clear up a lot of myths. We're going to clear up a lot of stigmas when it comes to this industry, okay? We're going to let Matt explain exactly what it means to go through the student debt relief process and how it could potentially help you. And then if you need help, Matt will also be available. He's going to give his information at the end. I'm super excited. Matt is a great individual. He works out all the time. He's always been one of our best friends. He's a good dude. And so Matt, thank you so much for being here today.
No, thank you for having me, Joe. I'm super excited to be here, being able to catch up with you and to kind of explain to people who, you know, don't really have an understanding of this student loan programs that are out there and pretty much the industry as a whole. Just to kind of start with the simple aspects, in 2007, Congress passed a bill called the College Cost Reduction and Access Act. It was put in place. Obviously, the economy was in a downward spiral at the time. Student loan debt was not necessarily a priority for people to take care of, but being that it's a federal debt, the consequences were pretty severe. Consequences include losing a driver's license, having it suspended, not being able to work in certain industries. The ones that are the most...
So wait, time out. You're saying if you don't pay your student debt, you can get these consequences.
Yep.
You mind repeating those one more time?
Yep, absolutely, no problem. So there are some states that'll actually suspend driver's license. They'll put a warrant out in some states. In some states, they won't let you work in certain industries. But the main consequences that happen across all 50 states is wage garnishment and tax garnishment.
Got it.
So if you've defaulted on federal student loans, eventually it hits a certain stage in collections. Once it hits that stage, it's one of those things that's in the fine print when you took out the loans where they have the ability to garnish up to 25% of your wages or your taxes.
Okay.
And, you know, in addition to garnishing those wages and taxes, some people think, all right, well, maybe that's a faster way to just get my loans paid off. Just let them take it.
Yeah.
But they don't realize the majority of that garnishment is strictly going towards penalties, late fees, interest, all that. So, you know, although it seems like they're helping you pay it off quicker by garnishing you, that's not at all the case. There are real options out there.
Got it. So for people right now, especially during COVID, right? Like everybody's out there struggling. Most people, like, I mean, me being an attorney, right? I do a lot of employment law cases. In my last episode, we talked with an employment law specialist, and I'm getting 20 to 30 leads a day. We're going to be looking at probably the highest unemployment rate in the history of the U.S. coming out of this. And this is going to apply to pretty much, you know, let's say 75% of the population, because 75% of the population has gone to college. They have, you know, some sort of college debt. I mean, going to law school myself, I'm looking at 40, 50 grand a year. And for the people that have these federal loans, so I want to also clarify that. It seems like this only applies to federal loans. Is that correct?
That's correct. Only federal. Unfortunately, private loans are not eligible for these student loan relief programs. The deal is with private loans too, the consequences are as severe. They're not going to garnish you. It's not a government-backed debt.
Got it.
So, you know, in those cases, they have companies like SoFi that are out there. Well, they'll help you refinance, get you a lower rate. They can get you low payments, but federal debt, they come by air, land, and sea to really get that money.
Yeah. And the government always gets its money.
Exactly. Yeah. So with these programs, though, they do offer a real solution. The reality of it is the government doesn't advertise, right?
Yeah.
So it's on you as the consumer or the borrower to go find these programs. It's sad. Like, what are we in 2020 now? Program's been around for 13 years. My phones are blowing up in my office of people calling to get help. And they're claiming they've never heard of this before. Yeah,
I mean, that's a big thing. If I was the government, I wouldn't want people advertising, right? Like, I mean, let's talk about advertising for a second. So in your industry, is it hard to advertise? Has the government made it difficult because they don't want people knowing about these programs?
Yeah, so here's what I'll start with. I will be the first one to tell you, in this industry, there are a lot of chop shops. There are a lot of people who claim they can do this service. They don't actually do it. I can, here in Orange County, I can I'm talking 20, 30, 40 companies that have probably been shut down by the FTC.
Okay. What is the FTC?
Federal Trade Commission.
Okay, got it. You know, so this is basically a government branch that is put out there to literally regulate these types of industries.
Correct.
And if somebody does something illegal or incorrect, let's say advertising incorrectly, you called it a chop shop. What exactly does a chop shop mean?
So what that means exactly is you got somebody who will set up like a student loan shop, even debt settlement, any industry you can think of where you're like a third party company. What they'll do is, their plan is, let's get in business for like 6 months. Let's charge these crazy abnormal upfront fees.
Okay.
Maybe provide a service, maybe not. You know, let's just get their payments in, and then in 6 months, let's close the door, shut down, and make sure nobody hears from us again.
Got it. So they like file bankruptcy or something, and they steal all the money.
Yep, and they collect all the money.
That's crazy. What sons of bitches? Why the hell would people do that?
It's ugly in the sales world, I'll tell you that. But
got it. And the FTC, from my understanding, because I've been involved with like some of these cases, because I've been called by general counsel by individuals, the FTC is really cracking down, right? Yeah. So even the people that are legitimately doing this business
are still constantly being audited.
They're being audited, but it's almost for our protection, right?
So, and I don't blame them. You know, and I even tell clients this when things get escalated and they ask to speak with the owner of the company. I get on the phone right away, and I just tell them, I say, I will be the first one to tell you there are a lot of people that are not legitimate in this industry. So you want to do your due diligence. When I first got into this business,
let me stop you real quick before we go there.
Yeah.
What are 3 things that people can do to tell if the company they're going to work with, other than yours, EDAPT USA, correct?
Yeah.
Other than EDAPT USA, what is 3 things that they can do to make sure that the company they're working with is legit?
So credibility, 1, look them up. Are they BBB accredited? Okay. Do they have a following, whether it's on social media?
For all of you, BBB is an organization that gives ratings to companies based on whether they're legit or not. So you only want to work with companies that are A+ ratings.
Yeah, A+ ratings. Honestly, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
There are companies that have B+ ratings. Here's the reality of it, and I understand it. I've gone through it. B+, you know, if you get a C, now it's questionable. But there's clients who will go on there and leave a bad review. And sometimes you'll resolve the matter, and it really isn't as bad as that client made it out to be, and your rating will be affected by it.
Yeah.
Here's the reality with the Better Business Bureau. People don't realize this. They're not some government-funded agency. They're a private company, just like your law firm or my student loan company.
Yeah.
But society trusts them.
Yeah.
So, you know, it does mean a lot to a business to be accredited on the BBB, have an A+ rating. But credibility, if you can see that they have a BBB rating, they're accredited. Yeah. They have positive reviews, whether it's a Yelp, a Trustpilot, Google. Obviously you want to make sure that you have a point of contact there. So try calling a few numbers that they brand on their website or wherever it may be.
I want to also make a comment about the reviews too. So just so everyone knows, I know everybody hates Yelp or they make comments about Yelp because Yelp is essentially the mafia of the reviews. Well, Yelp also, you should probably look to them the most, and I'm going to promote them, not because I have great reviews on Yelp, because they remove reviews. It's for Yelp users. They make sure that reviews are legit. The reviews have to be a certain length. You can't be pressured into leaving reviews there. There's a lot of things that they do for high criteria. So I always recommend to people look at Yelp first, because Google, for example, they'll never remove a review. They accept all reviews. It can be one word, it can be a couple sentences. A lot of these other sites, they'll accept 1 word, 2 words. They also accept business to business. So sometimes, another business owner can write a review to your business just because you're homies. Well, Yelp only allows client to business. So Yelp, in my opinion, is always the best one. So look at that, guys. BBB is also great. A lot of people also don't write reviews on BBB, has been my experience. People will always go to Yelp and Google first.
100%.
Yeah. So what is another thing that people can do to look to see if they're legit?
So obviously what you want to do is, let's say you have already enrolled with that company. Is don't just leave it in their hands. Track the progress of your loans. Look online, check with your servicer. Have my loans been consolidated? Did I get the new payment that was discussed? Those are things they can do, but here's the unfortunate part. Because all these bad apples that are out there kind of ruin it for legitimate companies like mine and some others. I know a few people in the industry that do it the right way as well. And unfortunately, it's been so tarnished now that it's very difficult to get people to trust you. So on that note about reviews and stuff, what we decided to do, a lot of companies try to hide right now from the FTC because they're like, no matter what I do, I'm going to get audited. So let me get a business name that doesn't have.
Have you guys been audited?
Yeah. And we've passed them flying colors.
We'll talk about that during the end. I'm wondering what exactly that process looks like.
Yeah, so what we did is we said, you know what? We're tired of hiding. Let's expose ourselves in the matter of Google, Trustpilot, BBB. So we went ahead, we did all that, and that way we set it up where if somebody were to come audit us in a negative manner, like try to close us down, whatever it may be, we just open up the books. Hey, look at our reviews. We have over 500 positive reviews. We're on the BBB. We have an A rating. You know how difficult that is to get accredited as a student loan shop with the BBB. You actually have to pass an FTC checklist, which was quite an experience. Okay. And so to get all that done, so we're like, you know what? Let's just put our name out there. So if you're going to come and try to close me down or tell me I'm doing things incorrectly, I'd love to see where. Show me where.
Just lay it all out there. Yeah, that makes sense.
And here's the deal. Let me take a step back, kind of explain to people what these student programs are.
Let's start from the beginning. So let's talk about, let's maybe use me as an example, right? So let's say I came to you, right? I have my law school debt. It's by myfedloan.gov, so it is a federal loan, okay? Absolutely. Now, when I call in, what exactly is going to be the conversation? What do I need to provide to you, and what are the initial steps?
Okay, so initial steps, we're going to ask you obviously your debt amount. We want to verify that you're out of school. If you're still in school, you're not eligible to be in the programs yet.
Got it. That's funny. So people that are in school will start applying for the program.
We'll start doing that, and I can understand why, because the sooner you start it, the faster you get to the finish line. So I can understand, but the Department of Education doesn't allow you to enroll.
So do you have to provide like a certificate of graduation, or like what do you have to provide?
We pull up your federal student loans. And then it shows us right there your enrollment status. Are you in school, graduated, withdrawn? So we verify you're out of school, and then we verify that you're not in a bankruptcy. So just so people know, when you file bankruptcy, a federal debt doesn't get discharged. A lot of people don't know that. They think, I'll just file BK. But they leave the federal debt there. It's not going anywhere.
I mean, a lot of people just don't understand. When you file for a bankruptcy, you're fucking up your life in a million, 10 ways from Tuesday, right?
Absolutely.
It's like you don't realize all the repercussions. It's on your record forever. It just stays there for years. You can't get credit cards. It takes forever to fix your credit score. So just be very wary. Always use bankruptcy as a last resort, and always consult an attorney when
Too many people use it as like an easy outlet. They don't realize the long-term effects it has on you.
100%. So I'll let you continue. So you check for a BK, you check that they're out of school.
If they're in a BK, they can't get into a program until it's been discharged. So it'll get declined at the Department of Education level. If your wages are being garnished, unfortunately, you're not eligible for a program either. So if it reaches that stage, there's nothing we could do at that point. So it's really important for people to understand. You want to get ahead of this before it reaches that stage. Once we've done that, so from a sales standpoint, I've coached all my sales reps that people don't make financial decisions. They make emotional decisions. So if you're going to jump straight into getting their income, their household size, and pulling loans, you're probably not going to close that deal.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to sell you a service and within the first minute, hey, my name's Matt, how are you? What's your social security number? You're probably not going to move forward with me.
Oh, no way.
So I've coached them all. Yeah. At this point, we need to start asking questions that get them emotionally involved. So stuff along the lines of, are these student loans creating financial hardship for you? If so, how? When you went to school, did you get the opportunity to graduate? Yeah. Are you working at a job in your field? Were you expecting a different income level coming out? Are you a single parent?
So you're asking all these questions because you're trying to almost invoke stress, is a nice way of saying it, because you want people to realize essentially the problems that they're facing due to their student loans.
Exactly.
So by invoking almost these emotions of real, like things that they're dealing with on a daily basis, right? Where they're like, well, fuck, I can't pay for this. I'm stressed out because I really didn't get the job that I was looking for. I know that one big issue for sure that you've told me about is you're an attorney. Well, you've gone to law school, can't pass the bar.
Exactly.
So now you thought you were going to be making $100,000 plus a year. You're making $50K a year as a paralegal or as a case manager at a firm, and you're never going to make over a certain amount of money. Yep. And so this is, I'm sure, one problem too, because now you're sitting. I have some friends graduating because they needed money for home and they needed money for food. They graduated law school with $300,000 in debt. They bought a house already. And they're starting negative $300,000. Luckily, my parents helped me out, and I was able to stay at home during law school. But a lot of people don't have that opportunity.
Absolutely.
So you're almost trying to remind people all the reasons why they're making this phone call in the first place.
Exactly.
And so now you've got them emotionally on the hook. Does that sound right?
That's exactly what it is. You probably hear that word a million times in my office. We keep saying emotion, grab the emotion, grab the emotion. Our whole sales pitch is all based off psychology.
Yeah.
And so when we're grabbing the emotion, we're going to be able to tie that emotion to the benefits of the program.
Yeah, but I'm sure, emotion is a huge part of it, but it's also almost empathy is what I'm hearing, right?
Empathetic. It's funny you say that. That's in our sales script.
Yeah.
Be empathetic. And
Dude, it's so important. You have to be understanding of what people are going through, right? Mm-hmm. I have with my intake team, and we have a script but we have a guideline for when we do intakes with clients, right? And a lot of times when you get 10 intakes a day, it can become exhausting. It almost becomes like a robotic movement. Yeah. You have to remember that every person is calling you with a severe problem. They got to the point where they're breaking. Mm-hmm. They need you to come in and help them, whether it's personal injury or whether it's, you're helping people with student debt relief. They have a serious problem and they need your help. And if you're not empathetic to their needs, people can hear it immediately if you think of them as a dollar bill or you think of them as, just another sale.
Absolutely.
And people don't want to work with those companies.
Mm-hmm. They can hear it in your tonality, even though it's over a phone call. Yeah. They can totally feel that. So.
Yeah. Every business is sales, it's marketing, right? If you're not doing it the right way, it should be called sales and empathy, right? If you really want to be successful, you need to understand your client's problems.
Essentially customer service, really what it boils down to. And then you pitch them at the end. But, and that word empathy resonates so well. I personally feel it's women are naturally more empathetic than men.
Yeah.
My top sales reps have always been women.
Yeah.
Because you could hear it on the phone call. They're extremely empathetic.
Yeah.
And when you have that in your back pocket, there's no reason why you don't close a deal if they fit the criteria.
Yeah.
So once we've gathered the emotion, we've focused on the harms, things that can create stress, that can create frustration for them in regards to their student loans and their finances.
Yeah.
What I have them do is now you follow up with explaining how the program works. So
yeah.
They can apply what they're going through to how the program works. And I'll give it to you guys in a nutshell. The way it works is if somebody qualifies, the first step that would happen is the Department of Education would pay off your existing loans in full. And they consolidate it down to one new loan.
So if you qualify.
Yeah.
So how do you qualify?
Your loans can't be in those wage garnishment status or a bankruptcy. You have to be able to show proof of your income.
Okay, got it. And your income has to be below a certain level?
It doesn't have to be. There's not really a set income that has to be set at. It just, whatever level you're at will determine how high or how low your payment is.
Well, let's say that you are making a lot of money still, right? But your student debt is a lot. Can you still qualify for this?
Yes, you can still be eligible for a program.
Got it. Yeah. And will the program just lower your payment or will they still help pay it off for you?
So what they'll do is there's certain cases where you may make too much money, but there's still government programs where they'll consolidate your loans down to one. So a tactic lenders like to use and servicers is while you're in school, they'll give you a student loan for each semester that you were in school.
Got it.
So people come out of school thinking I have a student loan. No, actually you have 10 or 12.
Yeah.
And we'll see how we pull it up. And a lot of people when we go over that with them are stunned.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, that must be why my credits hurt so bad. I got 10 trade lines that are negative or not being paid on. So a consolidation is huge for multiple reasons. One,
got it.
It's more manageable. You have one loan, one payment.
Okay.
Two, when you have 10 loans, you got 10 loans accruing interest.
Yeah.
So your balance is flying up daily, compounding interest like a credit card.
Yeah.
All right. So that's why some people, when I get on the phone with them or any of my sales reps, they're like, yeah, I think I owe like 10,000. And I go, okay, when's the last time you looked at your balance? Well, it's been a few years. Sales rep pulls it up. It's at like 30. Jesus. And then you get people crying on the phone. It's pretty bad. And it's just people like that out of sight, out of mind. I don't want to deal with it until it's too late.
Yeah, of course.
So now you do a consolidation. You no longer have 10 loans, 10 interest rates. You got one loan. It's easy to manage. Yeah.
I always get like stuff in the mail from people saying, hey, do you want to get a lower interest rate on your loans? Mm-hmm. Okay, got it.
And the beauty of these programs, and I'll just get to it right now. So they consolidate your loans. Now the new loan you have, it has a new payment that's based off of your income and your household size.
Okay.
All right. Now, along with that new payment, they're going to give you a set term. These terms can vary anywhere from 10 years up to 25 years.
Okay.
All right. As long as you stay in the program and you make payments for the time frame, whichever one you qualify for, whatever balance is left over at the end, principal balance or interest left over, that gets forgiven.
So like approximately, like how much percentage will usually get forgiven?
So there's really no set figure, and here's why. You can't put an exact dollar amount on it unless you're on fixed income. So while you're in these programs for 10, 20, or 25 years, depending which one you're eligible for, they do require
let's repeat those numbers. So how long are the programs usually?
So 10 years, and I'll tell you how you qualify for the lowest, which is 10 years.
Okay.
You have to be working in public service. A lot of people have heard that term, public service loan forgiveness. That's if you're paid by the city, the state, the county, the government, or you work for a nonprofit agency.
Okay.
So if they're 501c3 registered, which means they're a nonprofit, you'll get your term cut in half.
Okay.
So that's a huge benefit.
Got it.
The 20, whether it's 20 or 25 years, depends on when your loans came out.
Okay.
So usually if they taken out before 2007, you're looking at a 25-year term.
Why 2007?
They came out with a program October 1st, 2007 called the Pay As You Earn Plan. And they said if anybody has loans originated after October 2007, they are eligible for a 20-year term. Specifics as to why they did that.
Got it. So it's 25 if it was before 2007, but 20 after 2007. Yep. And that's typically the length of these terms.
Yep.
They're not longer than this typically?
No.
So it's either 20 or 25 years, really.
Got it.
Okay, got it. And then unless you work in a public agency, if you work in a public agency such as a nonprofit or for the government itself, or you work for the city maybe, then you can get the 10-year program.
10-year program.
Got it. And these programs, you're going to pay based off of what your income is. So if you're making a certain amount of money, you really only can afford a couple $100s a month, they take that into consideration, and you're going to pay that couple $100s a month.
Yep.
That sound right?
That's correct. So the Department of Education, what they use, they have a set algorithm where they take your income and your household size and 10% of your discretionary income to determine what your payment would be.
Okay, so your income and your household size, and then 10% of your discretionary. So
That's
discretionary means like after you've paid all your expenses, how much you have left.
Yeah. Correct. Sorry, I apologize. I should not have said discretionary income. It's based off of I got into debt settlement for a second.
No worries.
It's based off the poverty line.
Okay, poverty line.
It's based off wherever the poverty line's at.
A poverty line in your city or like the state?
The state. Okay. The state. So when you go online, you literally just type in your income and your household size, and it'll populate what your new payment would be. Where I left off is while you're in the program for this long, you have to do an annual recertification every year. So every 12 months, you have to recertify your income and household size.
Got it.
So what that means is you need to contact your lender, your servicer, and you have to say, hey, I'm doing my annual recertification. You have to resubmit income for that year and your household size.
So do I need to call you, or do you guys call me?
So this is my point I was trying to get at is this something you can do on your own? Absolutely. You can call. I know people who are doing it on their own, but I will say they're very meticulous, they're very organized.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's a lot of document preparation. It's a lot of back and forth with your servicer.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them just don't want to deal with it, so they'll just say, "Oh, we declined your application for your recert," or you literally forgot to check off a box, so we're just going to not accept your application.
Yeah.
And here's the deal: if you don't recertify, you don't stay in the program, you don't keep your low payment.
Okay.
You're back at square one. While you're in the program, your interest is continuing to accrue. That doesn't stop.
Yeah.
So the program can do you more harm than good if it's not handled correctly. What I mean by that is the recertifications are done on time, the necessary documentation submitted. So a lot of the negativity on this industry is, why would I pay you if I could do it for free? Yeah. And we tell everybody all the time, if you can do it on your own, by all means, we encourage you to do that.
That means the same thing from my business.
Yeah.
People go, I can just settle this on my own.
I can represent myself, right?
And then I go, okay, let me explain to you what the personal injury process is. And it takes me 45 minutes to explain from beginning to end everything the client's gonna have to do. And by the end, they go, okay, I now understand why.
And it's all gibberish to them.
Yeah,
right?
they're just like, oh. I'm like, get a pen and paper, get ready. I'll explain it all to you in full detail because I have no problem explaining to people. Like the amount of time it takes for my team to like handle these cases, like minimum on the simplest case, my team plus my time is going to be over $6,000 worth of like attorney time and just getting everything done. And we have everything set up in a perfect process. So imagine somebody that has no idea what they're doing. They don't know how to deal with the process and they don't know the right steps. So I can imagine with yours is the same thing, right?
Yeah.
You have these forms, you have everything you need to fill out. You don't know who to call. You don't know who to reach out to. You have to figure it out on your own. Yep. It's like the headache of like having to figure it out.
The follow-up.
It's not even worth it. It's like, why wouldn't you want a professional to do it for you?
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I've been trying to teach. And then the analogy we always use is, for example, filing taxes. Do you do that on your own? Could you? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you know? I don't know. When I see the tax forms, I give it straight to my accountant. I go, you handle this.
This is not my thing. Yeah.
I'm trying to maximize my returns, stay out of bad tax audits. So it's the same idea. Everything you could do on your own.
Yeah.
But you pay somebody, a professional, to make sure it's done correctly.
Yeah. So there's a business coach out there that talks to, he only is a business coach for billionaires. And he talks about the number one thing he teaches his billionaires is he teaches them how to quit, right? You're always taught your whole life, don't quit. Keep figuring it out, learn how to do it. He goes, no. He tells his billionaires, quit doing anything that is not the thing that you are most efficient at doing and that you know how to do best. Everything else, have somebody else handle because it's going to be more efficient for you because if you're always doing the thing that makes you the best at what you do, then you're going to always be skyrocketing. If you can always give somebody else the opportunity to do what they're best at, it's always going to be beneficial. So this goes for, services, it goes for anything in your industry, anything in your business, right? So 100% I agree. It's like people are not going to remember, then they're going to accrue all this interest, they're going to start back at square one, and they're going to be putting themselves up shit creek without a paddle, and then they're going to come back, be angry at you, and they're going to be like, dude, I told you, we can help you with this, and now you have to start all over again.
Exactly. And we try to tell them, so we're here for the longevity of it.
Yeah.
We're here to do those recertifications for you every single year, meet certain deadlines. And since the programs have came about, there's been guideline changes.
Yeah.
But again, they don't advertise that.
No one's telling anybody. And no one's going to read the laws.
I've been fortunate enough where our processing department, I know all of them. I love them all. They're all great people.
Yeah.
They've been in the game just as long as I have.
Okay.
And they know every single thing. Like they could literally work at the Department of Education, or I'd be willing to put them up against who works there, and I think they'd have more knowledge.
I got you.
And they're the backbone of the company. I rely on them big time.
Yeah.
So, and they're on it. They're constantly researching, and they tell me when there's a change in guidelines. Okay, perfect. Got to change that in the sales pitch. And that's new news. They require this documentation now. I guarantee you everybody who's in the program right now doesn't know they need to submit that form anymore.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, too, I can also see now when you were talking about the beginning, people being super pissed off at the industry because if a lot of these chop shots, they tell them we're going to do this for you for 10, 20 years,
exactly.
And then they're gone next year.
Can't get a hold of nobody.
No, and now
already paid your money. There's no getting that back.
So this is a message to the viewers. Make sure if you do go down this road, EDAPT USA is obviously a great company, but whoever you use, make sure they're legit because we're telling you now that there's a high percentage chance that you might end up getting screwed and then you're going to have to handle this on your own later. So make sure the companies you work with are legit. Don't just take the first Facebook ad that you see or take the first Instagram ad that you see and click it. Make sure that you're paying attention and you're doing the right things because if you're not, you could end up getting screwed in the long run.
Yep. No, it's huge. I can't tell you how many clients we've had that said they were working with another company. And the thing is now they're so jaded. So when they're like, how do I know you're still going to be around?
You. Yeah.
And I'm like, look, here's the reality of it. I can't sit here and guarantee anything to you. All I can show you is our track record.
Yeah.
What I can also do is we can provide you with the know-how or the knowledge base if we're not around, what to expect if you don't get a hold of us.
Yeah.
So our team's super educated and they educate the client so much, almost to a fault, to where we might lose sales because we've given them so much information that they're like, they probably feel confident in doing it on their own now.
Yeah.
But you know what? It protects the company, so I'm okay with that. I don't, I don't have any bad thoughts about that at all.
Yeah.
But man, the reality is, no matter what the product is, morals and ethics is always going to surpass the numbers.
Yeah.
I tell my sales, if you guys are constantly trying to chase a dollar figure, it's going to show in your sales.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between closing and selling.
Yeah.
Anybody could sign a deal.
Yeah.
Is your client going to stay on board for as long as we want them to stay on board?
Sure. Yeah.
Are they going to leave good reviews?
Yeah.
And when go back to empathy, a big part of sales, and when I was successful in sales, what got me to is having a referral source.
Yeah.
you got these clients that you're able to do so much for. If you spend the extra couple minutes with them at the end of your phone call and say, hey, this is obviously a huge problem in our country. It's a $1 trillion debt industry, okay?
Yeah.
It's 2020 now. It's been 13 years since they started these programs, and you're just now getting involved, and you've had these loans since 2003.
Yeah.
I know you got friends, family, people you work with that have federal student loans and are just as confused as you are.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, they spread that news like wildfire.
Yeah, of course.
So having a referral source like that's huge. That's another big part of our marketing.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah, it's always important to work with the people that you've already worked with, right? I always tell people it's easier to keep a client and to like water where you've already like spread, the seed and you've done a good job than to go get a new client, right? Absolutely. If you do a good job for people, they're going to tell their friends. It's the same that Tony Robbins says, there's nothing better than a raving fan, right? Like if you have a raving fan, they're going to tell their friends 1,000 times more than you could scream it at somebody's face on a Facebook ad, right? Or, put some sort of review and be like, hey, this is, us doing a fucking great job. Great, woohoo, nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, of course you're going to say that. It's your company. So
yeah, it's your company, it's your ad, right? But when somebody goes out and tells people, hey, Matt's company did a great job for me, or EDAPT USA did a great job for me, or the Accent Lawyers firm did a great job for me. This is something people remember because it's a legitimate review. Nobody forced them to do so. Nobody asked them to do so. It's something that they're promoting on their own.
Natural. And there's nothing like having an organic, natural client base like that. So
I keep trying to tell, people when they're in their jobs, and a lot of people I think don't have purpose behind what they do. They're doing a job just because of the sake they're doing a job, right? So a lot of times, if you're in a job where it might not be your number one choice, it might not be your passion, it's important to try to find a way to make it your passion or to find a purpose behind what you're doing, right? It might not be your entire life goal to do what you're doing. You might be doing sales and student debt relief, right? It might not be, but you can find purpose behind it. You can say, look, I get to help people every day get out of debt, reduce their payments, and enjoy their lives and not be stressed out. Like you are literally doing like 4 things right there that you are helping people. And a lot of people don't see that they can find a positive no matter what they do. Even if you have the lowest job, right? Say you're the mailroom guy and you're giving mail. Well, guess what? You have one of the most important jobs in the business, because if you don't deliver mail to the right people and give it to them, the business can shut down because you're literally, there's no communication. So you got to find pride in what you do. And if you can't find pride in what you do, your job will literally kill you. You'll wake up every day and you'll be like, why the fuck am I doing this? What is my purpose? And you can find purpose in anything you do, but you got to look and you got to take like almost a look inward and be like, why am I doing this? Why is this good for people and how can I help? And it's super important that you would instill that with your employees. And I always tell my employees too, same thing, empathy. It's extremely important that you are empathetic with your clients, you're empathetic with the people calling in, you're empathetic with even the adjusters that, might not speak to you in the most appropriate manners, but you are empathetic with everybody because you have to remember everybody has intentions behind what they're doing and it's your job to try to help them.
Yep. 100%. Actually, I love that you said that. You may not necessarily be passionate about what you do. I'm just going to come out and say it. Am I extremely passionate about student debt relief?
Yeah.
No. Am I good at it? Yeah. What I am passionate about is building something.
Yeah.
And building something and leading a team and growing that team and being able to pass down that knowledge.
Yeah.
So that's what gets me going every single day. It's not like, woohoo, I'm going to go help student loan debt. Am I fired up about that? No. But am I fired up about building something and helping people? 100%. Creating opportunity.
Yeah.
During this pandemic that we're in right now, the CARES Act was passed.
Yeah.
So part of that CARES Act is they suspended all student loan payments and interest being accrued during this time frame. That was a kick in the, I understand why it needed to be done. I'm glad it was able to provide relief, but it was gut check time for my company. And I'll tell you right now, I know a ton of student loan shops that just folded up.
Is this because people stopped calling?
Well, there's no urgency. They already paused everything. You don't need to make a payment. No interest is accruing. I don't blame them. Why would you call?
But how long is the CARES Act going for?
So it was supposed to end September 30th, but they just Trump just put another movement in to extend it throughout the end of the year.
Got it.
And there hasn't really been much movement as far as employment coming back and all that. Places are still shut down. So I understand having to extend it.
But I mean, on the other end of the coin, right, it's almost like you need to make your sales team as knowledgeable as possible about the whole entire process, because it's like people will be like, okay, my interest and my payments have stopped for a year, right? But this is a 20-year program.
So you're so far ahead of this curve, it cracks me up. I wish. So I literally had to call meetings and say, all right, guys, so the new approach now is going to have to be educating the client that this is a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
This is there's this pandemic's not permanent.
Not a permanent solution.
You know, come beginning of the year, you
Yeah.
know, fingers crossed, things are back to normal. Everybody's back to work.
Yeah.
There's some normalcy in this world. These are going to kick back in. Reality kicks back in. It's a
Yeah.
federal debt. This isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
All right. So I have to educate them on that. And, you know, surprisingly with marketing, we were still getting traction. People were calling in, and it was for two different reasons. One, some people didn't care to watch the news or see what's going on, so they don't even know their student loan payments were suspended.
Yeah.
And two, we still tell them, though. We still tell them. And then two, some people are knowledgeable enough where they're like, I know this isn't going to last forever, so I want to get ahead of this now.
Yeah.
Okay, so the third one, there's not much truth to this, but some people get spooked about election time.
Yeah.
They're worried, oh, a new president may come in, and if they do, they're going to change everything, and I can't get in the programs. It's not really going to happen, but they creates urgency for us, so we'll run with it.
No, you know what, man? It just really comes down to education, right? So I've gotten in fights, actually, in arguments with my attorneys, because what I want that initial intake with my client, I want them to be so full of information that it's coming out of their ears. I want them to know the entire process from beginning to end, so that, you know, the number one reason that most attorneys get a complaint to the state bar is lack of communication, because the attorney doesn't want to spend an hour with the client when they first sign up with them, explaining to them what the entire process is going to be for them. With us, we have literally a step-by-step guideline that I require all the attorneys to explain to the clients what they're going to do from day one all the way to the day they get their settlement check. That way, I have them take notes, and they know everything from beginning to end. That way, the client, during the whole entire process, they're never calling me being like, oh, what the hell is going on? What are we doing now? No, they were explained everything in the beginning in full detail. And when you talk to clients in this way and you give them all the details about the process that you're going to provide for them, they not only feel informed, but they trust you, right? They look at you as an expert. They look at your team as an expert, and they go, okay, these guys know what the hell they're doing. They're not just blowing smoke up my ass. And they're really giving me the whole entire process, which a lot of people are scared to do, right? Because they're like, oh, well, what if we tell them how to do it? They're going to go do it on their own. It's like, no, you tell them how to do it so they can see all the work you're doing.
Exactly. They understand the value behind your service.
Yeah,
and that's
100%.
why, you nailed it with that. And it's so crazy how similar some industries can be, even though they're so far off as far as product.
Everything is sales and marketing, right?
Yeah,
Like that's
I don't
really
care what industry you're in. Sales is involved somehow, and marketing is always going to be like your number one to focus on.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, nowadays we just live in an age where everything is so obtainable in an instant, like especially a personal injury attorney, right? Like I am in the most expensive marketing industry in the country. Like the pay per click on Google is $170 per click. That's not a phone call. That's a click just to go to my goddamn website. Okay. So,
and that's not even a promise they're going to call you.
That's not a promise they're going to call me. It's nothing. So, you know, we're sitting here and it's like, you really have to make yourself stand out. And the way you stand out is you just become an expert, or you really just inform the client and you show them that you are the best at what you do. If you can't do that, they're going to go to the next guy. And, you know, it's with marketing nowadays, you can deceive people and you can really do all kinds of stuff to be like showing you're the expert and showing that you're the professional, like Ty Lopez and all those guys, put us in themselves in Lamborghinis and making it look like, these guys are experts, but that's how they got to the point where they got all this money and now they can be the experts. Yeah. But it's really all about how you present yourself and what you're doing for the client. So, I mean, dude, it sounds like you guys are doing a good job, but just inform your sales team, right? And it's really about education. I know a lot of companies, the problem is once an employee's in the job, a lot of reasons that, or one of the top reasons that an employee will leave the company is there's not enough training and there's not enough to continue growth of that employee, right? So that's it. They got the job. They're doing their job. There's never any other training where they go, okay, great. I'm going to learn something new. Or the law changed. Now we're going to explain this. Yep. It's super important that you're consistently teaching your team more stuff and you're consistently asking them how to fix things, right? So I know for me, one thing that we do is we do a book club. So every one of my employees, we have book club once a week. We read a book together that's relevant to our industry or relative to company culture so that we can help promote each other and we can discuss, how we can raise our company, how we can learn more things, how we can train more things. And even just reading a book that it might not be related directly to what you guys do, it helps everybody grow. They feel like they're part of a team. Yep. So I don't know if that's something that would help you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's huge. And that camaraderie of having that family type atmosphere in an office or wherever it may be is massive. For a lot of people, that office is their family. You don't know what their home life is, and to create an atmosphere or a culture where people feel it is tight-knit, they can all trust each other. You don't feel like you're going to a dreadful job every day. I get to come to work, hang out with people I enjoy, and help people on the phone. Why wouldn't somebody be excited to be there every day?
Yeah.
As far as research and knowledge, as an owner of a company, you have to understand your team relies on you for that.
Yeah.
It's not their job to do research, right? They're just employees, they're there to do their job, but to keep up to date with everything that's going on, they're relying on the owners and executives to learn that. So I'm constantly researching the industry.
Yeah.
This information about CARES Act, what this could mean in the election. I'm already so far ahead of that. I'm like every day. So I have trouble sleeping. That's been my whole life.
I think whole business owners have
problems. So when I'm up and I'm staring at the ceiling, I'm like, you know what? Let's do some research. Let's get ahead of this. I'm making phone calls to servicers, testing to see if anything's changed, stuff along those lines. And so as soon as I receive any new information, it's relayed to my floor immediately because I want them to be ahead of the curve. Yeah. And if questions arise on a phone call that could make or break a deal, I want them to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
Everything I do is always collective with them. I don't single anybody out unless it's obviously, thank God it doesn't happen often for a negative reason.
Yeah.
Anytime there's a meeting, I don't just bring in top sales reps. You know, I don't have a top sales rep queue where only they get good phone calls.
Yeah.
It's all a level playing field. They all appreciate that. Do we have contests for top producers, stuff like that? Yeah, because it's motivating, it's friendly competition.
No, I think that's great. I think, too, one thing that Tony Robbins talks about, he talks about when you're doing those types of things, remember, it's always good to like mix it up. You don't want to always give like the same prize, or you don't want to always give like just money. It's always good to like maybe give an activity where they get to hang out with you, or like a trip. Yeah. You always like want to change it up because people also become auto-programmed. Oh, if I do this, it's like, give a dog a treat. Then they become auto-programmed. Okay, I get this reward. So you always want to change it up too and keep people like interested almost in like the curiosity of what they could get surprised with.
Yeah, no, even today, it's funny. Every Thursday we do top rep for last week was. Today we changed it up, got them a car wash. They loved that.
That's awesome.
Stuff like that. It's pretty awesome. So I, rewarding positive reinforcement like that is huge. But man, I just, I do want people to know that there is real help with student loan debt. There are good companies out there.
Yeah.
It's just trying to, but I get it, being jaded by it. You hear all this other stuff. I'll tell you right now, if you call a loan servicer and tell them what my company does, their very first words are going to say it's a scam. They're going to say that. They're going to use that terminology.
This is the federal loan servicers.
Yeah. They're going to say it's a scam. You don't need to pay them. So my challenge with that is, what makes that a scam?
Yeah.
I'm charging a fee for a service, just like anybody else would. And by the way, how come you haven't helped them?
Yeah.
That's what I want to ask them. How come you haven't mentioned these programs? Why am I being the one to notify them?
I mean, it's just the bottom line. Uncle Sam wants his money, right? And you're doing something that is taking money away from Uncle Sam, and they're not stoked about it, and they're trained to for sure tell people, hey, don't promote these programs or don't promote these companies, because there are the really bad ones. Mm-hmm. But the same thing goes with when I deal with adjusters, right? Adjusters, the first words out of their mouth is, this is a low impact accident. This is not a legitimate injury, and we're not paying you $1. That's what they're literally trained to do. Actually in the insurance industry, I always joke, I always tell people, and this, my mentor Sam taught me this, he says, you're not in good hands with Allstate. Nationwide is not on your side. You want to know what's the first thing an insurance company does when you're in an accident? Their first protocol is to find out how they can drop you as a client. That is literally what they're told to do. Look at payments for the last month and see if they didn't pay, or if they didn't do something the last 2 months, or if they didn't check a box, or if they didn't fill out a piece of paperwork. How can I disqualify this person and drop you? Oh, I've only been with this company for 36 years, but you know what? I missed one payment 6 months ago, so fuck you. You don't get any coverage whatsoever. That's literally what they're trained to do. Bullshit. So it's like, it's hard when people on our end that are actually trying to help people, right? We're trying to assist. And then you're dealing with insurance companies that are literally trying to fuck their clients, is a nice way of saying it. And they record, so the first thing they say, if you ever realize when you talk to your insurance agent, hey, you're on a recorded line. Oh, I wonder why you're on a recorded line. Because they're trying to use that against you in a court of law. Mm-hmm. They're trying to get you to say anything so they can say, oh, you're not hurt, you're not injured. Oh, you sounded happy on the phone. There's no way you were actually in pain. Yeah. So they can use it against you. So, I mean, dude, it's every industry, the counterpart that you're dealing with, whether it's the government or insurance companies, right? All these people, they want to get paid, right? You know who owns Geico? Warren Buffett. You think Warren Buffett's in the industry of giving people money? No, that guy's in the industry of taking everyone's money and making as much money as possible. Same thing as the government. People can make counter arguments right now that they're trying to help people, but they also, the world's struggling. If they didn't help people, the government would collapse and everything would collapse. So they're just trying to save their own asses at this point. And right now, there's also just the biggest transfer of wealth in the history of probably the world. At this point, there's 30% of small businesses are closed. They're not going to reopen again. A lot of industries that are not, industries that you'd consider not necessary. So like pleasure or like something that would be like
non-essential.
Non-essential. That's a better word. Gotcha. So non-essential industries, you're never going to see them again because people don't need them. And right now people are, they're taking their plus $600 a week on unemployment and they're just making payments for whatever they can. So, I mean, we're watching the biggest corporations. They're getting these bailouts by the government. They didn't bail out the companies that really needed it enough. And you're going to see 30 to 40% of all small businesses disappear. And then maybe they'll restart again later, but they didn't help the people that they needed to help. And now the 1% is getting about 1,000 times richer. I think Bill Gates and what's his name? The Amazon Bezos, that guy, he made he's going to be a trillionaire soon. Like it's all that money is transferring into other people's hands and it's getting away from the people that really need it to help them. And, Disney's gobbling up all these other companies. They're one of the biggest ones out there. And, there's nothing wrong with these companies. I'm not saying there's anything evil about them, but the way that the government is helping people, there needs to be a way to focus the money, cutting it off by these big companies and giving it to the people that really need it to survive. Because otherwise, you're going to be sitting there with the same 20 companies for everything forever. And that's what it's going to be.
That 1%.
That 1%.
So that's, what's frustrating about all this that we talk about, we have all this knowledge and we know what's going on, right?
Yeah.
All the bigger picture stuff. It's just frustrating. We don't have much control over it.
No. What are we going to do?
That's the thing. We have no control. So all we're left to do is just pave our own path. We have to find a way.
Dude, I mean, even me as an attorney, I'm sitting there, I'm like, I have a lot more power than the average human being. Mm-hmm. And it's just from my standpoint, it's like, really, there are a lot of attorneys out there that are going out there and trying to change the laws and the bills. But if you don't have billions of dollars to advocate and lobby for these bills, it's hard to change the law. And so you really have to be somebody like a Trump or somebody that's a huge, that can literally advocate and push people with billions of dollars to make these changes in the laws. So, I mean, nonetheless, that's kind of like going in a different direction. Let's segue back to, we were talking about earlier, you were one of the top salesmen in your team. So we talked about empathy. So what do you think was the reason that you were crushing the sales records and doing so for a consistent, 2 years, right?
Yeah.
You were staying up in that high sales percentage. What do you think made you different than the other salespeople that were the highest person that I remember you telling me was like 40%, 50%? What made you double, 3 times better than that?
It's really, psychology is the best way I can put it. I've been in call center sales in multiple industries coming out of college, and that's all I did. And I was able to, thankfully be successful at, all the industries I went in. And it's understanding the individual, not treating them like a lead. Understanding there's somebody on that line. So there's something to be said about the ability to listen. Listening is a real ability. It's not just there's talking, let me not talk. Yeah. That's not what listening is.
Yeah, one of my number one quotes, and I love to tell people, is listen with 2 ears, speak with 1 mouth.
Exactly.
This correlates to how you actually listen and speak, but continue.
And, listening is, like I said, it's not just letting them finish their sentence. Are you really grasping what they're trying to tell you?
Yeah.
Are you hearing the hot buttons? Or are you
just thinking about what you're going to say next?
Oh, dude, I can't tell you how many times with sales reps, all you hear on the phone call is, and it's just a constant back and forth. I'm like, let them finish.
Yeah, shut up, let them talk.
And what you just showed me right now is you're not listening.
Yeah.
All you're trying to do is get to the next part of your sales script. And I'm like, dude, you're not going to close this person that way.
You're just trying to have a counter to what they're saying.
And how can you be empathetic if you're not listening? Good. And really, like I said, if you let these people talk and you listen, they're going to give you the pathway to close them.
Yeah. So one book that I'm reading right now, you have to read it. I'm telling you this moment. It's probably one of the best 5 books I've ever read. It's called Never Splitting the Difference by this guy named Chris Voss. He was the top FBI negotiator for the FBI for like 15 years. And he basically just shows you how we've been taught to negotiate and we've been taught to communicate with people in a completely improper manner our entire lives. Like one thing that he talks about is it's super important when you talk to other individuals, like everyone's always trying to get them to say yes. Mm-hmm. You actually don't want to get people to say yes. You want people to say no. By allowing somebody to say no to you, you're letting them be in control of the conversation. You give them the illusion of power, right? So it's more important that you ask questions that allows them to say no. One other technique that you can do, and this is just as a listening technique, which he talks about, is like mirroring. So mirroring means that you just repeat a couple of words or you repeat what the person is saying to you and you label it and you kind of like restate it to them. Mm-hmm. So this is super important. It's just like, listen to people. If you repeat what they said to you, people are going to be like, yeah, I like this guy.
Well, it's in training, we always talk about most people have never had their own story repeated back to them.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it gets the wheel spinning.
Yeah, just listen. Yeah.
To recap their situation, repeat it back to them.
Yeah.
And it completely separates you from anyone else they can deal with.
Yeah.
In my industry,
Yeah.
you call the servicer and try to do it on your own.
Yeah.
All they're going to ask you is, here's your payment. When can you make it?
You know, I have a lot of mentors in the legal industry, and a lot of my mentors are older attorneys, okay? And there's one thing you can't trade as an attorney, it's experience, okay? And I've learned the longer I hang out with attorneys and the more experienced ones, like when I do an intake, I'm talking like about 40, 50% of the time, okay? It takes me an hour. When I talk to these experienced attorneys and I bring them some of the big cases that I might refer to them, they're talking 10, 15% of the time. They are literally listening. They don't say anything. They might stop somebody and ask a tiny question just to get that detail, but then they let the person tell them everything, and then they'll talk at the end. And I've just learned the more experience and the better you are at your job, you let people give you information. You just learned something you didn't know before. Why would you stop somebody from giving you information in regards to a matter? It might not be relevant. All of it might not be relevant.
It's not going to hurt you.
It's not going to hurt you. It can only help. They're trying to give you information.
They're giving you ammo. They're giving you total ammo that you're going to be able to use to help close the individual, gain their business, add value to your service. It's all information. And like I said, if you're going to get an individual on the phone who's just constantly trying to get you, this is the difference between sales and closing. A salesman's going to listen.
Yeah.
Closing, they're just trying to get you to sign a document. You're probably going to cancel in the next 2 days, or you're never going to pay for the service anyway.
Yeah. People just want to hear that people want to feel that you understand them, right? If you understand them, they're going to work with you. They're going to enjoy working with you. And you just got to take a chance to listen. And I know it's something that people hear all the time. Listen, don't talk, but it's something that I like. One of the main reasons that I was super stoked about this podcast is it's still a skill that I'm learning on a daily basis. Yeah. And I was super stoked about doing this podcast because I feel like this is almost like a way of bringing people in that I don't know stuff about. I don't know shit about a lot of these industries that I brought people in, and I don't have a lot of this knowledge. Yeah. So I actually have to listen because I'm like sitting there. I'm like, okay, great.
Intriguing, yeah.
It's intriguing. I'm like, this is cool. This is something that I'm learning about, and it's information that people can use, and it's stuff that I really wanted to hear about. And it's like, this is almost like an exercise in growing my personal growth, where I'm sitting here and I'm asking questions about things I'm interested in, but I have to wait to finish what they're saying. And I might have things to chime in on, but it's really an exercise in learning and listening and not always just be trying to think of a counter argument. Because my entire job with these adjusters a lot of time is just counter arguments and arguing with them. But I'm learning too that just listening to adjusters and the people that I'm arguing with, if I just listen to them, they're human beings too.
Yeah. And
I just, hear what they're saying and treat them like a person, they're going to be much nicer and they're going to want to work with me. Even the attorneys on their side, even though it's adversarial, what's their motives? They want to get paid. They want to do a certain amount of work. If I let them do that and I listen to them and I actually treat them like human beings, at the end of the day, it's always best to listen to the person with the checkbook, right? Or to be kind to the person with the checkbook. And a lot of times too, people have to realize that your reps are dealing with the Fed loan reps, and these people are the ones with the checkbook. You have to listen, you have to be kind, and you have to work with them. And it's like, it's a give and back, or it's a give and go. What's a give and take? Yeah.
But no, actually, you said something there that a lot of people seem to forget. You are dealing with another human being.
Yeah.
Once you get that understanding, your whole mindset shifts.
Yeah.
So it's like, why don't you treat that person on the phone or the person sitting across from you as if they were one of your family members or a good friend?
Dude, I would love if every time we did an intake, I could have my attorneys do a Zoom call. Usually that first call is not a face-to-face thing. But even if I was dealing with adjusters, face-to-face, I've recommended to other attorneys, be like, hey, let's do a Zoom call so you can see I'm looking you in the eye and I'm telling you what's up and we can discuss this. And a lot of people, now the 21st century, everything can be done over a Zoom call. Just real quick, I understand your office might not be this most pristine place. People are working from home. Everybody's working from home.
No
you
judgment.
might not be in a suit. There's no judgment, but just looking people in the eye, it's a sign of respect, and it's also you're doing business, and I don't think it's something that you might be able to include in your business, but it's something that I feel like a lot of sales industries, if they could just look people in the eye and talk to them instead of just being a phone call, it'd be a different approach.
Yeah, your tonality would change. You'd be bringing your A game.
Yeah.
Everybody's
and then leaning back in your chair, leaning over, bad posture.
And like you said, much higher level of respect when somebody's in front of you.
Yeah.
And it's and honestly, people are more comfortable.
Yeah.
trying to gain somebody's trust over a phone is not easy.
No.
In person, there are some people out there
who the
that are
fuck
still not
you?
trustworthy.
Anybody can be on the other side of that
how do I know
phone.
you're not some avatar?
Oh,
like,
dude,
you're just
it's
talking.
tough. I mean, that's a huge thing too for like PI attorneys. I try to give all my clients my cell phone, which is also a double-edged sword all the time. But people are just scared, and I don't blame them. This industry, I deal with clients all the time calling me, telling me that I got wire fraud or I got screwed by this person, or, they gave me their account or they gave them my account and I got money stolen from my account. And it's just like in this day and age with technology, it is so easy to screw people over, and it's so sad, and it happens all the time. So people need to be super careful. One piece of advice I give to people is you can buy this stuff called ID Shield. If anybody's interested, let me know. I can connect you. But you can buy insurance. It's like, $30-$40 a month, and you can get $1 million in coverage. So if somebody does steal your insurance or your Social Security, open credit cards in your name,
that's super.
This is something people don't realize they need. But nowadays, I know young 9-year-old girls that have had credit cards and homes bought and shit, loans gotten in their names, and they had no idea, and their credit's ruined, and they had no idea. And this is a real thing in the world. Yeah, it's awful. It's sad.
That's super sad. Yeah, this day and age, like you said, technology is so advanced, and it's not just within our country. Somebody could be breaching you from a separate country.
Yeah.
So it's, protecting identity is huge. It's, simple as losing your wallet. That's a wrap. That's a quick 10, 15 grand running up real quick.
Yeah, dude. My dad, he had a property and it got robbed in Riverside that we had out there, and they had all his Social Security numbers. They opened 17 credit cards in his name, and luckily he had this insurance because I told him to get it a year ago, so they stopped it all. But dude, and it's how would he have known? And he had security on the building, but they got the paperwork, and that's it. They're in, they're out, and now they have all the information they need, and they basically can do whatever they want.
So
they
this
can
is
open
ID
loans.
Shield. ID Shield.
ID Shield is one of them. But you can call Farmers Insurance. Farmers, your insurance, they have stuff like this. They protect your Social Security. The second your Social Security is ran, they'll have a notification. They'll immediately stop it. But if you don't have something like this, you just have no idea that somebody can do this shit to you. And you're basically, you're sitting there and you're living your life, and then you get a notification from Equian or from Equifax saying, hey, guess what? Your FICO score went from 750 down to 540 because you did not pay on your credit cards. People pulled cash out on it, and you just have no idea. And with technology nowadays, it's so easy just to hack your shit, take your stuff, and people need to take extra precautions for sure.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's one thing I wanted to touch on more when we were talking about business is networking.
Yeah.
And when I say networking, I'm not talking about constantly trying to find new marketing vendors or new people to do business with. Is you really want to get a good grasp of your competitors. So I have a couple buddies that are in the industry, have their own shops, and we always want to see each other do well.
Yeah.
And we're constantly picking each other's brains.
Yeah.
And if somebody's got an awesome new marketing source, it's okay, dude, let me share the wealth.
Yeah.
And or what have you heard recently about the industry? What are you doing to have more efficient sales? What are you doing on the back end to make sure files move along smoother? So if I could get a message out to anybody who's a small business owner and has competitors, is maybe not so much trying to have a frontal assault approach. No, we need to beat these guys. We need to put them out of business. If you guys share knowledge with each other, everybody's going to win. Everybody's going to win. And don't feel like asking a question puts you below them. I ask these guys questions all the time. Yeah. It's vice versa. They ask me questions all the time about the industry. Yeah. And it's just what I'm trying to get at is always be a student of the game.
Yeah.
Sure. And that goes, God rest his soul, Kobe. He used to always say that. And I was obviously a diehard, that is my childhood idol. So he would always say that no matter how good, I'm always trying to master my craft. He's always constantly asking old legends about footwork, things he can do differently. So being a student of the game is huge in small business. And it's just constantly asking the questions and not being scared to ask your competitors.
Yeah. So let me give you a piece of advice there. So I actually started my own networking group with other young PI attorneys. These are my direct competition, okay? These are my direct competition.
All local in the area?
All local in the area. It started off with just 6 of my dudes. Shout out to the Successful Attorney Society. It started off with 6 of my dudes. We started off getting dinner. Mm-hmm. Now there's 40 of us, okay? We get dinner sponsored by doctors and people that want our business. They take us to Mastro's, Fleming's. They take us to Morton's. They take us to all the nicest restaurants because I wanted to start this group so we could continue to be educating each other. And on top of that, learn the medicine so we could be better for our clients. And shout out to my boy Brett Sachs, Ali Razavi, Jeff Feingor, a lot of these guys, Ibrahim, you're all part of this group. And every time we get together, Michael Gendron, whenever we get together, I just learn something. And we all help each other. And there's, I think 70 something million people in California, right? Or even more.
Yeah.
There's 70 something people in
Something
California.
outrageous.
I don't need a million cases to be wealthy.
No,
I need a
I'll
couple
be all right.
thousand cases. Right now my firm has like 200 cases and we are doing fucking fire, right? So it just shows like you're person that you think is competition, you can actually become best friends with them. You can teach each other so much, and it's better that you lift each other's up as like compatriots in justice or whatever you might be doing, right? And you can just support each other in any way possible. And I encourage you, go start a group. And we meet before COVID. We were meeting once a month. We had a dinner once a month. I had one of the best surgeons or one of the best doctors or one of the best groups presenting to us, teaching us something. So every time we learned, we had dinner, we had a couple cocktails, we hung out, and we just got time to spend with each other because it's just so important, you're right, to network with those other people in your industry. And we are the next generation that is going to set the standard on how these things are going to be done. And you got to bring those people together and collaborate, because when you do that, you're going to help all of your customers. You're going to help all of your clients. You're going to help everybody you're helping, because you're going to help promote each other and you're going to teach each other the right way to do things. Like, I can't tell you how many forms, how much paperwork, how many things we've assisted with each other in the sales process, and we've improved our processes just by getting together and hanging out. And it started off with 6 of us. Now there's 40 of us, and that doesn't include the doctors and the other individuals that come to teach us at these meetings. And I'm having it's mostly young attorneys, but I'm usually having 1 or 2 of my mentors that are like 30, 40-year attorneys that are like super experienced coming in and teaching us. And one thing that I do too is, like, instead of looking at other attorneys and like holding cases for myself, I will partner with the best attorney in that specific niche in the country for every type of case. I have the #1 person for like premises liability. I have the #1 trucking attorney. I have the #1 wrongful death attorney. And I work with all the top firms because it is my motto to guarantee my client the best legal representation every single time instead of just holding it for myself. I recognize the fact that I'm 32 years old. You can't trade experience for anything in life. And so I would rather guarantee my client the best results. And that's the best way you should do business. Work with people that are the best, and then you can learn from them and become the best.
Exactly. Just like we said, student in the game. That's awesome that you work alongside somebody who's got that proven track record.
Yeah.
And that goes back to adding that credibility and gaining the trust of the client. Yeah. So that's huge that you do that. I mean, a networking group is definitely something I'm going to probably look into.
Yeah.
That's awesome that you guys have that gathering.
Dude, so just start it. Like, the best thing it does is there's no reason to start it off. Like, it ended up being something that people wanted to sponsor, but dude, just go get dinner, go have some drinks with, the homies.
Keep it casual.
Keep it casual, and then you'll be surprised because there's always people that are in your industry. I don't know like who your vendors are, people that maybe work with you, but I'm sure there's vendors like phone people maybe that for your sales reps that they want your business, and they'll come and they'll take care of you, and it gives you an opportunity. It gets dinner covered, but even then it's not that bad. You just want to go hang out and learn from each other. That's also good to do that too.
Yeah. A few drinks never hurt anybody, right?
A few drinks never hurt anybody. That's
if it
for
stops
sure.
at a few.
Yeah, if it
you
stops
know
at
me
a few.
too well.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh man, that's funny.
Oh,
all
man.
right, so I want to kind of segue. I know we've been talking about student debt relief this whole time. I want to talk about. We're going to talk about 3 things. We're going to talk about first. I'm going to talk about what are some of your craziest clients and what did you learn from them? What did you take from it, or some maybe crazy situations with clients that really maybe helped you change your processes, or something that you really were able to learn from along your road to success.
Man, crazy clients. So no matter how good you are, those are kind of inevitable, right?
Yeah.
So crazy clients would be the ones where, like we've touched on a few times, after speaking with us, so they've never heard of the program, never heard anything, they've had the loans for several years.
Yeah.
We get them enrolled. They call their lender or servicer for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Okay. They're on the phone. Yeah, I spoke with EDAPT USA or these other student relief guys, and they're going to get me in this program, so don't worry, I don't need to pay you guys. I'm going to get the consolidation done first, and I'm going to start my new payment with you guys once they lower it. The lender takes the opportunity there to go ahead and tell the client, no, we can do that, and we'll do it. They're charging you how much? Oh my God, no, we'll do it for free. Again, they failed to mention the recertifications you have to do, how long it takes the process to be completed, what forms are involved. But yeah, no problem, we'll do it for you, but essentially you're not doing anything. You're going to send them the forms, they're going to look at the forms, not know what the hell to do, and they're not going to know about the deadlines in the upcoming years for the next 20 years. Yeah. So, they call back, and if you're the client, do you blame them for calling and going off on us, cussing us out, threatening to, escalate it to the attorney general, which I've dealt with, but I've had attorney generals reach out and they communicate with me, and I show them the process and I show them exactly what we do. And at that point, that's when they're like, it's a legit service, you know, and they go back to the client and they say, hey, they're legitimate. And then I've always told these clients, 100% you can do this on your own. It's even on the front page of our legal agreement.
Yeah.
It says, we are not affiliated with the Department of Education. We are a private company. This is a service. You can do it on your own.
Yeah.
And it says it's on the front page. It's not in fine print. We're very clear about what we do. But it's the unfortunate part that the lender or servicer makes us out to be this scam.
Yeah.
We're not. I will gladly encourage anybody again to do it for free. Nonetheless, they escalate it to an attorney general. Now I'm on the phone with an attorney general. I'm like, my God, did I commit a felony or something? Like, what's going on? But then they end up saying,
those phone calls are tough, dude.
Yeah, they're brutal. And I was like, hey, before you take an interrogating tone, why don't I just walk you through what was done? And then by the end of that conversation, they're just like, okay, it's a legit service.
Yeah.
And then, but the problem is, those types of clients, if they escalate that stuff, they go on the BBB.
Yeah.
They leave the negative remark.
Of course.
And then now I got to deal with the BBB, and I got to put a response in that shows how it was resolved.
Yeah.
But BBB negative reviews, from my understanding, is it takes 3 years before it gets off.
Got it.
So now you got that thing. It's stuck there. The only thing you have to help you is it shows resolved and your response to it. But here's the thing.
You're tough. You're in a tough industry.
It's
because like it's almost like the people you're trying to work with, the Fed loan people, are telling people it's a scam.
Yeah.
And so they're almost like it's and you have no repercussions, right? So it's not like you can sue them for telling these people it's a scam, right?
For slandering our name and all that. So it's like
they're slandering you, and it's like you almost like sit there and you're just like, it takes months for them to figure out it's legit, and then by the time they do, they're not going to remove that review just because people are stubborn and they don't go through that process for you.
We're a customer satisfaction company too. I can't tell you how many thousands of dollars we've refunded. Completed work we've done. Completed. Somebody's got 10 loans in default on the tip of wage garnishment. We've gotten them in a program, 10 loans in default paid off, one new loan, positive status.
It's not even worth it.
Helps on your credit. You got a new low payment. You have peace of mind, and then you call back, and then you want to say we're the scam, and now you want all your money back after we've done all the work. So what I say is, you know what? Refunding these clients is a lot better than the thousands of dollars we might lose because they put a bad review. And losing trust of other people or them spreading our name.
It's so worth it to do that.
So I'm like, gladly, just so you know, this is all the work that was done for you. I'm going to send you the refund check. Please confirm you got it. And if you have any questions about the process going forward, call me. I'll be more than happy to help you.
No, dude, it's so true. Like, it's always the small cases, like the ones that are like those difficult ask clients, right? Like we have a rule at my firm. I always try to give the client more money than I make. Like I will reduce my fee quite regularly just to make sure the client is always getting more money than me. Because one of the biggest complaints you hear is my PI attorney got way more money than me. So I try to not be that guy. And I'll take cuts on everything, even though I'm like, I have an attorney lien. So my attorney lien, it's above anything else. No matter what, I'm getting paid. That's just how the law works. The attorney is going to get his money. But I always cut my bills to make sure that I give the client more money than I do. So a lot of them don't realize it, but on those low cases where like the client is extremely difficult, I'll just take a wash. I'll just be like, look, here's your money, here's your stuff, figure out your liens, here you go. I don't want anything to do with your case. The second I see a client is being extremely difficult because they think they can do it better than me or they can do whatever, I just know, well, especially for me, I have a license, right? So I could lose my license if somebody complains and they make a big enough deal about it. And, even though what I might be doing is legitimate, it's like, it's not worth the headache. Because once you're on the radar with a state bar, they're going to investigate. They're going to hire an attorney general. They're going to have an investigator. They're going to audit everything. They're going to want every communication. I have to now spend dozens of hours writing up affidavits, declarations, giving them every communication between me and this client just to deal with it. So I will literally just be like, you know what? Go ahead and continue with this case. I'm going to drop my lien. I'm not going to take $1. Please continue. Even I'm going to waive my fees. Every case, by the way, on a personal injury case, I spend $800 on every case. That's out of my pocket, out the door. No, I don't. That's money them, and I'll just waive that because I don't want to deal with it, and it's not worth the headache. And I think that's like the smart thing about being a good businessman is just knowing that it's better to let these people go and continue on with them. And for me, the people that are usually like this, it's always like, I deal with victims of accidents. But then there's victims. There's people that have that victim mentality. Everything is everyone else's fault. Everything is this person's fault. Woe is me. This person did it to me. It's me against the world. And the second I start hearing that, I've gotten really good at like recognizing it early on. And I'll work with those clients But like, you have to be extremely cautious because that's just how their brain works. And I don't have the time to rewire their brain and to teach them that's not how the world is. But a lot of times you just have to recognize it, and I just will take a wash. And I'm dealing with it right now with a client, and I'm about to take a wash because they don't understand what I'm telling them. They don't understand how the law works. I'm like, this is what the law says. I need this, this, and this to get you this money. They're offering this much money because we only have this. We don't have the other 5 things to get them what they need. Yeah. But they just don't hear me. They can't communicate. And I'm going to lose out on probably like $8,000. But for me, it's better to let them go instead of getting a bad review, and instead of getting them to tell all their friends that I suck, and telling their friends that I suck. It spreads like wildfire. It's just, you know what? I want nothing to do with this. I wish you the best of luck. Hire another attorney, and he'll tell you the same thing, and you can call me in a year later when they get you less than I can, and we'll have this conversation again.
Yeah, it's not worth it. It's that, you know, that risk that comes.
Closer.
Oh, yeah, the risk that comes with that. And here's the thing, and it sucks that the world works this way. Negative reviews spread a lot faster than positive reviews.
100%.
You know?
It's cancer, dude. It's, you know, I always tell people if there's someone in life or there's something in your life that's cancer, you have to immediately cut it out.
Yep.
And it's just, it's not worth the stress. Like, it's always the cases that you knew you shouldn't have taken in the beginning, or the clients you shouldn't have taken in the beginning. There's something in your gut. And a lot of my mentors, I've had to learn the fucking hard way. When something in your gut tells you this client is going to suck. Yeah. This is going to be the worst experience of your life. And I'm dealing with it right now on 2 clients that one of them reported mistake bar, which they're completely in the wrong. And I'm dealing with it with multiple other attorneys on this. They reported all of us.
What could they possibly report you for?
Dude, they reported us for like a multitude of things, which were all completely incorrect. And we've written these 100-page declarations explaining it to, you know, about what's going on, and the attorneys the state general and the investigator has already agreed with us that they're
cooperating.
Yeah, I know that, but the judge agreed with us, saying that they appealed it and that person was wrong. So I mean, it's a whole entire process, but you have to go through it. And I remember when I first took this case, one of my mentors told me, "Don't take this fucking case." That's his exact words to me. He said, "You're gonna regret taking this case," and I regret taking this case. Goddamn, I've literally spent $50,000 of my time. I'm going to end up making, like, when it's all said and done, like $5,000 because of this person ruining the case. And it's dragged in other attorneys that I worked with on this. And it's just like, when your gut, like, you have to listen to what the world is telling you. You got to listen to your gut. If your intuition tells you, hey, don't do this, don't do it. Listen. The world is trying to tell you something. And a lot of people, when they see that dollar bill and they're like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm going to make that dollar. Mm-hmm. It's going to be great. And they ignore all the red flags, all the red signs, saying don't, stop, go, turn around, do not pass go, do not collect $200, turn around, go back. And they just ignore it.
That money talks loud.
Oh, dude, you're going to get kicked right in the face when it comes back. And I'm dealing with it hard right now. And you know what? It's a life lesson.
Yeah.
This is one of those big mistakes, you know, like.
And you got the right team around you to help fight it back, thank God.
Yeah,
so
you're going to remember, you know, but it's like, it's good. I'm never not going to listen to the universe again. This is, you know, I got kicked in the balls hard and I've been paying attention to it, and now that's it. This is my life learning lesson, and it's good. You know, you need these lessons to become successful and go to where you want to go next. Mm-hmm. And it's good. Otherwise, you just stay stagnant. You just keep going like this. Now I got kicked here. I'm going like this. I will never make that mistake, because it's dropped me a couple levels having to deal with this shit. And now I'm going to keep going up and moving forward. So it's good.
Yeah. Eventually there's going to be a day where you're going to tell a young attorney, hey, don't take this fucking case.
Oh, dude, and I'm going to make him not take this case. I'm going to take him to dinner, and we're going to go hang out, and I'm going to explain to him what happened to me. So let's talk about 2 now. You said, you know, earlier you said there was potentially like a big mistake. I like talking about the mistakes. You know, you talked about Kobe, right? People learn from their mistakes more than anything. So let's talk about maybe one of the biggest mistakes, or the biggest mistake you've made in your career that really got you to where you are today with EDAPT USA. Yeah.
So, you know, when I was doing sales in the student loan industry, I was doing it at a high level for 2 years. Then I was running the company. I was running their sales floor, director of sales, hiring, training, recruiting, the whole 9. And then at one point, I kind of just, you know, this is when I just remember looking in the mirror going, I know this. I know the ins and outs. I just need I just don't have the capital to do it on my own. You know, get the office space, pay for the marketing is extremely expensive in this industry. Yeah. You know, you're forking out $50,000, $100,000 a month, depending how big your floor is, just on marketing.
Jesus.
Okay.
I didn't realize it was that much.
Oh yeah, it's up there for solid marketing. You know, unless you want to you don't want to beat up your floor, have them burnt out. You're constantly hiring new people. So, you know, I was fortunate enough to get a business line of credit, and I was like, it's go time. Let's do this. You know, and I told everyone, like, I appreciate everything you guys have taught me. I'm just in a position now where I feel like I know the ins and outs of this. Been doing it for a long time. I know a lot of people in the industry that are kind of loyal to me, to the point where if I start this, they'll jump ship right away. So opened up my own shop. Was able to get sales reps quick because I knew all of them. And then thing is, I was not experienced in marketing. It was my first go around with it. People offered to help, and I was like, no, I think I got this. I think I paid attention to it. And I was not realizing how big of an expense it was, one, and two, how to properly allocate the money to the right marketing vendors, making sure, and then not knowing when you're paying too much for marketing, when you need to slow down the calls, when you should just ramp it up. Long story short, after about a year, my controller just tells me, he goes, it ain't looking good, the books, it ain't good. I don't know how we're going to make payroll. And I was like, but we're generating so much, like we're doing deals, we're the income revenues. He goes, it's barely covering your marketing costs. And he goes, and then at the time, there was a hedge fund in the area, that was looking to get in the student loan industry. So we had several meetings about them purchasing the company. It was a super tough decision for me because I was like, I felt like I was quitting. Yeah. And I was like, but it was my mistakes. It was me not properly looking at the books, the accounting, not understanding how many nooks and crannies in the business, how the money's being applied. And that's my own fault. I don't blame anybody besides myself for looking at that. So with the hedge fund, they purchased a student loan company from me, and they offered me a position within it to still run the operation. Yeah. I did that for maybe 2 months. And I just remember sitting in the office over there going, this is not the same. I'm building somebody else's empire that I know more about. Yeah. And I was just super frustrated. And, at the time when I started it, we had a nice high-rise building. I thought it was cool, first-time business owner, just trying to live the lavish life. Yeah. And then what was great about that experience is I realized it's not supposed to be pretty. Okay. I don't know what the statistics are, but I know all small businesses don't make any money for the first God knows how many years. Yeah. And that's okay. That's okay. And it took me a while to learn that. Living the lavish life, the high rises, go buy the sick cars, go do that. I'm so glad I learned that way, that's not how you start. You're in it for the long haul. Yeah. This isn't an overnight deal. No. So I remember sitting there going, I can't believe I'm helping somebody else build this empire again with all my resources, my knowledge. This doesn't sit right with me. And I remember the next day I walked in, I said, you guys can keep everything. I'm not going to try to convince people to leave. It's yours. I can't do it. I got to do my own. They tried to have me sign a NDA that I wouldn't operate in the industry. And I was like, that's not happening. I don't have to sign this.
Let me give you a piece of advice. Just so you know, NDAs, non-enforceable in California.
I've been hearing that.
Even if they got you to sign it, you could have opened your shop the next day. It doesn't matter. You could have done it wherever you wanted, however you wanted. California is one of the states non-competes are non-enforceable.
They don't hold on.
That is a big thing and a big misconception that fucks over.
That's good for a lot of people to know. A lot of people don't know that.
If you don't know this, this is extremely important. And I talked about this on my last podcast. I'm going to talk about it again. Non-compete agreements.
There you go, non-competes. That's
non-competes, my fault. Non-competes are not enforceable in California. So even if you sign one, it doesn't matter. You can go open your own shop the next day. A judge will not enforce it. It will not stand up in court. You can do whatever you want. They can threaten you all you want. Call an employment law attorney, and I will make sure that we have the right information for you to give to them. Continue.
Yeah, so and I was like, I'm not signing this non-compete. Not going to happen. Let's just keep this smooth. I don't want to have to get legal involved in all this. Yeah. So, and then what happened is I was at my house. I have an office set up at my house, and I was like, I'm going to do this again, and I'm going to build it from my house. Yeah. So I was in my house, and I was able to get in touch with some of my old lead vendors, negotiate some pretty good pricing on marketing. I know everybody in the industry, so I was able to set up a CRM, do all that, and I was like, I'm going to start as a one-man shop. I'm going to be the sales rep. I'm going to be the processor. I'm going to be the owner. I'm going to do the accounting. So literally working out of my house, which was kind of cool. It's just me and the dog at the house. You're closing deals. You're moving the file forward. And then slowly but surely, fast forward, a few weeks later, I start getting calls from the sales reps from those companies. Hey, it's not the same since you left, or it doesn't seem right. What are you doing? What are you doing? And I said, look, I kind of gave them my word that I wouldn't take you guys, so I got to stand to that. And then they kept calling me. And I said, you know what, dude, if it's that bad for you guys, then I don't feel bad taking it. And then eventually I said, look, you got to quit before I can talk to you. Yeah. So they literally quit and called me, and I was like, what? You guys did this overnight? So I was like, I've got to hold my word. You'd have to quit before I have a conversation with
dude,
you.
that's honorable. Like, that's like,
and they quit and called me.
So
I
good.
go, oh. And so immediately I call Mark, my buddy who does the control, who's my controller now. And I go, I need to find office space fast.
Yeah.
Okay. Like 5 of them just quit, and like, or else they're going to be living with me and working out of the house. So luckily we bounced them right over here, not too far in Costa Mesa. And it was literally, dude, I'll never forget it, for like 2 nights straight, with no sleep. I'm setting up desks, computers, phones, getting internet. And I was like, I can't believe this is happening so fast.
Yeah.
But I learned my lesson. Like, the office space, it's no crazy overhead. It's by the water, but it's not expensive.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? Let's keep this like a family atmosphere. No cubicles. Everybody's got their own desk. It's open.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at now. And it just built it from then, man. And then I just remembered the mistakes. I look at every single penny now that goes in the business. Dude, so I watch it like a hawk. Yeah. And I'm like, you know, I also understand, dude, you don't take money until you're profitable. Oh, dude, for sure. You don't. No. Like, that's the last of you. You're the last one to get paid.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing. I'm the last one to get paid. And so it's ever since you switch that mindset and understand it, it's a long process. Yeah. You know, you're not truly profitable until you can honestly say, I have no debt.
Yeah. It's funny. I have that conversation with my girlfriend. She's like, you don't take money and put it away? I'm like, all my money's in my company. Yeah, I take my money and I put it back into my company.
I know he said that. My buddy, he's a financial advisor. Yeah. And he keeps trying. He's like, you got to roll over your IRA to me. Let me handle it. And I said, he goes, dude, you got to contribute more. I go, hey, as a business owner, it's a little different. I need it to be
100%.
liquid.
Dude, I get in fights with my financial advisor all the time, and I've stopped. I'm almost going to stop using him because he doesn't understand. You know, when you put it into an IRA or you put it into these vehicles, you're going to gain 7%. I can gain 400% putting it back into my business and growing every year, right? Like, at some point when I'm looking towards retirement, I'll take that money, I'll start putting it away for savings. But right now I'm up, I'm hustling, I'm trying to grow my business, and it's more important that I put money back in. Seminars, you know, buying new equipment for my team, getting new employees. Like, that's way better than putting 10 grand into something that's going to gain me 7% interest for the next 20 years. Like, I can get a case for 10 grand that would be worth $1 million, which is much more beneficial.
And that money's tied up. You know, God forbid you fall into some sort of bind.
Yeah, and I need it.
I need that money liquid. I don't know. Every day is a new day. You know, I don't know what regulations come out, what pandemic shows up.
Yeah, you need your money in the company. Like, everything's in my operating account for my firm. So, if I need money for like something, like if I want to go on a trip, I'll pull it out. You know, but otherwise everything sits in my operating account, because also when it goes into my account, now I'm like, oh, I got cash to spend, and I'll spend it on stupid shit. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't really need this. And it's been like, you know, it's a learning lesson. And all I can say too is, like, you know, when you start from the ground up, I didn't have a CPA and I didn't have an accountant until my 3rd year. I did everything. I dispersed checks. I did my accounting. They did my taxes for me. But when it came to bookkeeping, I did it on QuickBooks. And you want to know why? I want to know how the hell to do it. And it's like, once again, it was good that I quit. I should have quit sooner. I was doing it for much longer than I should have. Yeah. But it's so important that you know the ins and outs of your business from beginning to end, because something goes wrong, you need to be able to take over at the drop of a dime. Yeah. So it's super important. All right. So let's talk about the last thing I want to talk about. What is one habit, or what are some habits that you have adopted in your life that you think make you such a high performer? Closer to your mic.
A high performer, man, there's so many that, like...
Yeah, share a couple of them.
One we talked about briefly is being a student of the game.
Yeah. Always
constant asking of questions.
Never stop
learning. Not being scared because you think it's a dumb question.
There's no such thing as a stupid question.
No, not at all.
There's stupid people. And I don't mean to say that as you're stupid. It means you are misinformed or uninformed. So you always ask a question. You know, I always used to get in trouble in school when I was younger because people would make fun of me. They'd be like, I would ask questions. I'd be like, I didn't know. You know, like, don't assume you know anything.
No, not at all.
An assumption, makes an ass out of you and me. This is what my parents taught me at a young age. And if you don't assume anything, you got to assume people don't know anything. Learn. Always ask questions. But I'll let you continue. Sorry.
Yeah. No, totally. It's work in silence, I think, is huge.
Work in silence?
Work in silence. And what I mean by that is you don't need to be constantly, whether it's social media or out and about, explain what your next move is or how good you're doing right now. Yeah. You know, stuff. Work in silence, really. I mean, just keep it to yourself, dude. Let your performance speak for itself. Yeah. I've never been the loudest guy in the room. No. You know, and I don't think I ever will be. No. And you know, what I've noticed about the people who are truly successful, they're not the loudest one in the room. Yeah. You know, they're listening. They're observing because they're wanting to soak in more information.
Yeah.
So, I think you should keep certain things to yourself in regards to your business, how you're doing. If we're having a conversation like you and I right now, we're exchanging information totally.
Yeah.
But to be boastful or stuff along those lines, just be humbled, be grateful.
Yeah.
I think that goes a long way. But something that 100% I think has helped me be successful and move things forward is it's so simple. Be good to people.
Yeah.
Be good. Not just like your employees, be good to people in life in general.
Yeah, just be a good
We're
human being.
old enough to know what right from wrong is now, how you should treat somebody, how to treat somebody with respect. We're mature enough now where we can agree to disagree on things.
Yeah.
People are entitled to their own opinions. Being good to your employees is massive.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes some people get their heads so far cut up an Excel sheet's ass when they're looking at numbers that they forget that's an actual human being.
Yeah.
Okay. The guy's not a robot.
Yeah.
He has stuff that happen outside of work.
Yeah.
He's not just programmed to work from 9 to 5 and he has no outside life. People come in, people are in bad moods, people have stuff that's going on. So I always try to have a very one-on-one relationship with all my employees.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, what are your goals in life? What are you just trying to do the whole paycheck to paycheck thing, party on the weekends, which is fine. That's cool if you're young and that's what you want to do. Totally do it. And then like one of them's a single parent. I just really want to make sure my daughter is able to get to college. That's my whole focus right now is put away money so she can get to college. So she doesn't have to take out a ton of loans like these guys, our clients do. Another guy, he's got a picture of this 64 Mustang that he wants to buy. He keeps it at his desk all day. And I'm like, I would love to see this guy get it done.
Yeah, he'd be stoked on
And
that.
so what we did is we put together a commission sheet of how much money he would need to make each month to put away enough money to go get that Mustang.
Yeah.
So if I see that through, that'd be like one of my biggest accomplishments is seeing one of my guys go through that.
He'd be so happy.
Yeah. One guy, God bless him, he saved him for a wedding ring. I was like, all right, man, that's huge. But there's things that motivate everybody. So what I try to do is when I say be good to people, one, listening like we do, people fall in binds. And for example, I got somebody who's fighting for custody of their kid right now.
Yeah.
And I could tell this guy's head's just not in the game when he's been coming to work.
Yeah, of course.
So I said, dude, what's going on? And he goes, dude, I'm in this nasty court battle. I don't have the fees to pay my attorney to actually fight to get my daughter. Yeah. I just want her half the time, 50-50. I'm not asking full custody. I'm like, man. And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm probably losing a ton of money because this guy's head's not in the game right now.
Yeah.
If I can cover his attorney fees, which weren't that much, he'll have peace of mind. He'll be focused again, which is going to make me a way more money than this guy coming in with a shitty attitude every day. So small things like that. Hey, we're going to cover those attorney fees. We'll figure out how you're going to pay that back later.
Yeah.
That meant the world to him.
Yeah.
This guy was the first one in, last one to leave,
Yeah.
focused, killing it, doing deals, stuff like that. But my whole thing is if you're good to people, man, it's going to come back tenfold.
Yeah.
And it helps you obviously become successful that way. Because now in a sense, I don't know if this is the right word to use, but they almost feel indebted to you.
Yeah.
So they're like, I'm going to bust my ass for this guy.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. And to end it is there's a difference between a boss and a leader.
Yeah.
Boss is going to tell you what to do, delegate, do all of this.
Yeah.
Leader's going to show you how to do it. To this day, as an owner of the company, I'm closing deals
That's awesome.
in front of the sales reps. I'm not just preaching to you how to do something or saying I had this crazy track record in the past. I'm going to show you that I can still do it on a daily basis. If your employees are able to see you rolling up your sleeves and you're doing it with them, and it's not just blowing a bunch of smoke, why the hell wouldn't they follow suit?
No, for sure.
And they're going to have your back.
Yeah, I agree entirely.
If I had to summarize things that have made me successful, I'd say be good to people and know the difference between a boss and a leader.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Matt, thank you so much for coming today.
Of course, man.
For everybody that listened in, look, for anybody out there that's heard about student debt relief and you think it's a scam, it's obviously not if you find the right people. EDAPT USA. I'm going to let Matt go ahead and give you guys the details of how to get in contact with his company. Look, if you have student debt relief or if you have student debts, you need to give them a call, talk to them, and see if it's something that you can qualify for. It doesn't hurt. If you do have a lot of debt, this is something that can get knocked off in 20 or 25 years. So it's worth at least a phone call, talk to his team, and see if it's something that you can qualify for, because I'm sure you wouldn't mind a lower payment. And if you do have multiple loans, you need to make sure that you check that you consolidate everything so you're not racking up multiple interests and you can climb out of this mountain of debt that you're probably in at this moment. So Matt, can you please give them the details of how they can contact you and your team, and then we'll go ahead and close out.
Yep, of course. This camera right here, This one, or
no, right there.
That one. All right, my apologies. Sorry about that. So EDAPT USA, you can reach us via phone, which that number would be 800-438-2869. Or you can see us online at www.edaptusa.com. I'm going to spell that out for you. That's EDAPTUSA.com. So if you go online there, you can see all the lovely reviews. You can see some real testimonies from individuals we've helped in the past. It's got some helpful links on there as to why you would want to use a professional service as ours, changes in the industry. Also on there, you can fill out a form where we'll reach out to you to get you help with your student loans as well. But yeah, we'd be more than happy to assist anybody. At the end of the day, we're going to walk you through an evaluation process. And if there's no benefit for either side, then no harm, no foul.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you guys so much for chiming in today. You're all beautiful. You're all wonderful. Really appreciate you spending some time with us. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Nasty Truth Podcast. Have a wonderful day and God bless.
Nasty.